Ding. The dream simulation device has been established, and players can experience the simulation scene in the dream. Please verify. Ding. Please choose single/double combat mode. Two-player combat mode is ready. Couple battle has been bound. This dream simulation scene. Unmanned Island, please choose the way your girlfriend appears. Players choose to purchase a white long skirt and a short-edged dagger. Due to insufficient points, purchase failed, allocation will be made immediately. JK clothing is ready. The appearance skin has been confirmed. Ling Xiao. Is there such a good thing? Looking at the girl in front of him, he couldn't calm down anymore. Easy writing, love writing. This book is also known as, How Did I Suddenly Have a Girlfriend in My Dream Simulation, I Really Just Want to Complete Tasks in My Dream, and, How Did My Girlfriend in My Dream Take the Initiative? Keywords of the novel. Nurturing girlfriend. Starting from dream game with no pop-ups, nurturing girlfriend. Starting from dream game with no pop-ups, download the complete TXT collection, nurturing girlfriend. Starting from dream game with latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Do I have a dream simulation device? New book collection requested. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Do I have a dream simulation device? New book for collection. Ding, dream simulation device has been activated, starting verification. Ling Xiao looked at the virtual scene in front of him, feeling a bit panicked an hour ago. Examination, doctor's advice, medication application. Go through a familiar process. He walked out of the hospital expressionlessly. Since learning about his remaining time, Ling Xiao has been controlling his emotions. Lift your head. The summer sunshine mercilessly ravages. Ling Xiao glanced at the convenience store next to the hospital. Before this, the doctor also reminded him to pay attention to his diet. But he still walked in. Anyway, it's only 1 year left. It's nothing more than a few days less and a few days more. As soon as I entered the store, a sharp sound came. Senior. Ling Xiao looked up and found his college classmate in the convenience store. Although his current mood is not suitable for dealing with others, he still pretended to squeeze out some smiles and said, Chen Ting, why are you here? I have a cold and came to the hospital to get some medicine. I didn't expect to meet you here. Chen Ting immediately walked up to Ling Xiao, excited. Ling Xiao looked at Chen Ting in front of him. I found that she is even better dressed than before. Short hair, cute lowly face, paired with jeans, fair ankles with a slight leak. It's very cute. Senior, do I look much better than when I was a freshman? Yes, but it used to look good too. Ling Xiao put aside the gloom in his heart just now and said politely. Ah, the senior praised me. Hee, I also think I'm more beautiful than before. Chen Ting said happily and compared. At this moment, Ling Xiao glanced at the girl standing next to Chen Ting. He doesn't know. But I was a bit surprised in my heart. Her appearance is even more beautiful than Chen Ting's. Long hair fluttering, beautiful figure, fair long legs paired with a light white long skirt, creating a refreshing summer vibe. A beautiful appearance paired with a hint of tear stains around the corners of the eyes and hair gives off a cold and lustful visual sensation. Chen Ting saw Ling Xiao glance at the girl next to her and explained, "This is my best friend, Yang Linlin." As she spoke, she also introduced herself to Yang Linlin. "Linlin, this is our class assistant senior. Ling Xiao, you see, he's a handsome guy." Ling Xiao nodded and looked at Yang Linlin, saying, "Hello." But Yang Linlin didn't speak, just smiled shyly, nodded, and then turned her gaze to one side. Chen Ting immediately said, "Let's go then." "Goodbye, senior." "Okay." Ling Xiao looked at the two of Chen Ting who were leaving, at the age of youth. He glanced at the iced black tea in his hand again. Then he switched to mineral water. He ultimately chose to listen to the doctor's advice. Even if I am currently in the advanced stage of gastric cancer, there is still 1 year left. Even with chemotherapy, the maximum survival time is 4 to 5 years. Besides, I can't even afford the cost of over 300,000 yuan myself. Some people were born and raised with a golden key, and even if they speak rudely, they can be called the national husband. Some people lose their parents and rely on their own efforts to make life more hopeful, but they suffer from terminal illness. There is no fairness in this world. Not long after, he returned home carrying a medicine bag. Just as I was about to take out the key, the door next to me opened. Fat Lin Dong didn't care about his image and wore a big pair of shorts before asking, "Xiao Gu, how are you? Are you okay?" Ling Xiao looked at the fat man in front of him, feeling somewhat relieved in his lonely heart. Fatty is his college roommate, and after graduation, the two of them joined a company together. When looking for a house at that time, the two of them also found a rental room adjacent to each other. Ling Xiao squeezed out a smile and said, "It's okay, it's just that the stomach is a bit uncomfortable. The doctor said it's gastritis." Upon hearing this, Lin Dong immediately said, "This gastritis cannot be underestimated. You must take medicine. Otherwise, it is very likely to turn into stomach cancer." Ling Xiao. He nodded and said, "Got it, have you eaten yet?" "Huh, not yet. I'm not waiting for you to come back." Lin Dong rubbed his stomach awkwardly and said, "My stomach is almost starving. Come on in." Ling Xiao opened the door. Lin Dong was not polite either. As soon as he entered the door, he lay directly on the sofa and leaned against it. "You can watch TV, I'll go make a meal." "Okay. Xiao Gu, I'll go buy some drinks later." "No need, drinking beverages is not good for your health." "That's good." Ling Xiao walked into the kitchen and took out vegetables from the refrigerator to clean. The splashing water in the kitchen was somewhat out of place with the laughter outside the living room. He knew that the joys and sorrows between people were not interconnected. Just then, a crisp voice sounded. "Ding, dream simulation device has been activated, starting verification." Suddenly, Ling Xiao suddenly became clever. What sound is this? Despite his unknown situation, he still heard a voice coming from his mind. "Authentication successful, welcome to use dream simulation devices. This device can allow you to experience 100% real dreams and achieve a versatile simulation life." Ling Xiao glanced at Lin Dong, who was still watching TV in the living room, and knew that these sounds were definitely not from him. At this moment, a virtual image appeared in front of him out of thin air. Is this a system? Ling Xiao looked at this virtual scene and felt a bit unbelievable for a moment. He used the fastest time to tinker with the sudden emergence of black technology. This is a dream simulation system device that can simulate real dream scenes and experience different life patterns. Simply put, it's VR games in dreams. Ling Xiao is a bit excited. But the next second, he regained his expression. Although this system may bring joy to mundane life, but that is based on the premise of one's own health. Now I only have 1 year of lifespan. What other dream simulations are you going to play? So he chose to turn off the icons in the virtual screen. But the next second, the sound of the system device reappears. Detected that the player has only 343 days of lifespan. In order to provide a better simulation experience for the player, if the dream simulation scene task is completed, the device will extend the player's lifespan. By completing different scene tasks, corresponding lifespan time and rewards can be obtained. Pop it. The knife in my hand fell off. After hearing the commotion in the living room, Lin Dong immediately shouted, "Xiao Gu, what's wrong?" Ling Xiao was excited and swallowed a mouthful of saliva before saying, "I'm fine. I just slipped my hand." Lin Dong, who walked over from the sofa, saw that Ling Xiao was in no serious condition and said with concern, "Xiao Gu, be careful not to cut your hand. Well, quickly tidy up the table and prepare to eat, Ling Xiao said using the topic. Okay. Lin Dong didn't take it seriously, so he quickly ran out to tidy up. Ling Xiao, who calmed his mood, once again clicked on the icon of the virtual screen. After clicking in, there is only one game scene called War Games. The other scenes have not been unlocked yet. That is to say, if you want to play this dream simulation game, you can only play this level. Can playing this dream game really prolong one's lifespan? Although Ling Xiao didn't quite believe it, he only had a 1-year lifespan, so he decided to treat his dead horse as a living horse doctor. And during the process of researching the system equipment, he also carefully discovered that in the selection options, it is possible to copy any real-life character into a dream. That means being able to lead others into dreams and form teams. Ling Xiao, lying in bed, turned his gaze to the chubby Lin Dong outside the living room. He aimed the scanned page at his roommate. After 3 seconds, the system emits a prompt sound. Lock-in failed. Adhering to the implementation of the 3-child policy and establishing a correct view of love, please choose a suitable opposite-sex character. Ling Xiao. Newcomers, new books, still the same as before. Everyone, please support us. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Ends in just 10 seconds. Seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 ends in just 10 seconds. Seeking collection. Ling Xiao sighed at the humanization of analog devices. But if it's not for the sake of reproduction, men actually prefer to be with men. He had no choice but to take out his phone and find a photo of Jinmai. Since the release of The Beginning, Zhao Jinmai's image has become the standard for many boys to choose a spouse. But 3 seconds later, the system still prompts. Lock failed. Please select a character within your line of sight. That is to say, if you want to find a girl, you have to be a real-life character. Why is it so troublesome within your own sight? It's better to play alone. Due to the scanning page being constantly working. The system sound is ringing again. Considering that the player has not been able to select suitable characters for a long time, the system identifies 2 characters based on the player's impression in their mind. Scan successful, character template has been created. Ling Xiao finally realized that the device had selected the last 2 girls he saw in his mind. It's just Chen Ting and Yang Linlin at the convenience store. And the selected girl is not Chen Ting. It's her best friend Yang Linlin. However, Ling Xiao didn't pay too much attention to the situation. After all, this is just a dream game. Yang Linlin wouldn't even know she entered her own dream. With a hopeful mood, Ling Xiao began to wait for the arrival of the evening. After all, this is the only way to survive. Although he doesn't know if this system is reliable, he still wants to give it a try. At 11:30 p.m., Ling Xiao lay in bed and slowly fell asleep. Not long after, he heard a voice. We are about to start Dream Sims, and the theme scene for this game is War Game. The game difficulty is Simple Mode, and the simulation duration is 1 day. Wishing you a wonderful experience in dreams. Due to the player's first experience, this dream simulation scene has a total of 5 opportunities. Once used up, it will enter a cooldown period. After the cooldown period ends, the next simulation can be started. Task. Successfully survive in the dream for a day, escape from the enemy's reconnaissance range, and not be detected by the enemy to receive rewards. Task Reward. Reward 100,000 yuan, obtain the Eagle's Sharp Eye talent, and successfully extend health by 100 days. Extend health by 100 days. Do you still have funds of 100,000 yuan? Although he doesn't know what the Eagle's Sharp Eye talent is, as long as he can extend his health, that's enough. Ling Xiao couldn't help but get excited, which also strengthened his determination to pass the level. But if it is a battlefield full of bullets, how can one not be detected by the enemy? Will you be shot to death at the moment you wake up in a dream? With anxiety and unease, Ling Xiao opened his eyes. War game dream simulation begins. As soon as I opened my eyes, smoke filled everywhere in front of me. The pungent smell makes people feel dizzy. The sandbag next to it still has waves of burnt marks. The scene in front of Ling Xiao really widened his eyes. This isn't it too real? It's like being in the real world. Just before he could shake, a shell landed on Ling Xiao's head. The place where the shell fell was burned to ashes. Blooming thick smoke. What the F*** K? How long have you only lived? Is the game over? At this point, the device prompts. Congratulations to the player for living for 10 seconds, keep working hard. Ling Xiao. When I was killed by a shell, I couldn't feel any pain at all. Next time, just open your eyes and run. Ling Xiao continued to press the button of War Game in his sleep to start the second dream simulation. War Game dream simulation begins. At the moment he opened his eyes, he didn't have time to look around, so he spread his legs and ran. A few seconds later, my original position had been flattened by shells. Ling Xiao breathed a sigh of relief when he saw it. He lifted his head and stood up to look around. Bang! A bullet hit directly at the forehead. The dream simulation is over. Turns out, there's no feeling of being shot dead. Congratulations to the player for living for 46 seconds, keep working hard. After 2 attempts, Ling Xiao knew that he had to run at the beginning of the game and never stand up, otherwise the enemy on the opposite side would aim at him. This time, he was well prepared. War Game dream simulation begins. Immediately run when you open your eyes. Lower your head and run around in the trench. After completing the operation, Ling Xiao escaped from the dangerous area of the front battlefield. Although he doesn't know where to escape, the enemy's war zone is ahead, so it's impossible for him to escape there. So Ling Xiao ran around the trench all the way towards the back. He kept moving backwards along the trench. But he noticed that the fighter jets above would occasionally drop 1 or 2 bombs. There is even a bomb that is only about 10 meters away from me. Although Ling Xiao couldn't see the enemy, he felt like the game NPC was following him all the time. Occasionally, gunshots could be heard from behind. He could only crawl forward while observing the surroundings. There are no comrades, no visible enemies, only ruthless bombers. Is this single machine mode? Ling Xiao couldn't help complaining about it. Not right. He suddenly thought of something. Didn't young Linlin also enter this dream? Where is she now? She shouldn't be in the other party's camp, right? Collaborating with the teammates they brought in, they ended up becoming enemies. Ling Xiao helplessly roast. Along the trench, along the way, he saw dozens of corpses lying haphazardly around him, each with head and forehead cracks and dismembered bodies. Drops of blood seeped into the soil, emitting a black and red color. The bloody smell in the air mixed with the smell of gunpowder makes people feel a bit nauseous. Ling Xiao knows, even though it's just a game. But this scene still made him feel fearful. The strong sense of realism made him grab his feet. Ling Xiao didn't know where he was, nor did he know if he could escape the enemy's reconnaissance range within a day. But now he only has one word in his mind. Run. Just as he was about to cross a sandbag wall, he heard intermittent cries coming from nearby. Ling Xiao suddenly increased his vigilance. You should know that he hasn't seen a living person since he woke up. Perhaps this is the only enemy in the game. Ling Xiao held his breath and slowly approached. He circled behind the sandbag, ready to launch a surprise attack. At the moment Ling Xiao rushed over, he saw a woman curled up in the corner, holding her hands and knees. She buried her head low and kept choking and sobbing. Ling Xiao breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing the situation. It turned out to be her. Ling Xiao even thought that young Linlin was already in the enemy camp. I didn't expect to be on the battlefield like myself. He originally wanted to walk over. But the sound of explosions behind us is once again approaching. For a moment, Ling Xiao hesitated a bit. His game mission is to survive and then escape from the enemy's reconnaissance range. From a gaming perspective alone, he doesn't need to care about young Linlin's life and death. After all, this is just a game. But from a human perspective, seeking support, seeking collection, end of this chapter. Chapter 3. Don't leave me, I beg you, please collect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Don't leave me, I beg you, please collect. Ling Xiao looked at Yang Linlin, sobbing for a moment, hesitated, and finally walked over. He was thinking that if he encountered danger, it wouldn't be too late to leave Yang Linlin behind. After all, completing the game is the most important thing. Upon hearing the footsteps, Yang Linlin was immediately frightened. She quickly closed her eyes and shouted, "Don't kill me, don't kill me. Don't be afraid, I won't kill you." Ling Xiao squatted down, calming Yang Linlin's emotions. Yang Linlin opened her eyes and noticed that the boy in front of her was somewhat familiar. Isn't he the senior Ling Xiao introduced by Chen Ting yesterday? Yang Linlin probed in fear, "Are you senior Ling Xiao?" "Me, I am." Ling Xiao nodded and looked up and down at Yang Linlin. "Are you okay?" Yang Linlin quickly shook her head and grabbed Ling Xiao with both hands, crying and shouting, "Where is this? Why isn't there anyone around me? Have I been brought to the battlefield?" Ling Xiaojiang wanted to explain, but the enemy's shells fell from above. Bang! The dream simulation is over. Congratulations to the player for surviving for half an hour. Keep working hard. Ling Xiao was unwilling and opened this dream simulation for the 4th time. At the moment he saw Yang Linlin, he didn't even let her speak and pulled her to run desperately. As for Yang Linlin, she naturally didn't know what was going on. But the next second, she was hit by a shell in her previous position, which made her panic. After running a distance, Ling Xiao noticed that the enemy plane above had already left. So he turned his head to look at Yang Linlin and said, "It's safe now." I saw Yang Linlin blushing all over her face. She lowered her head and struggled with her small hands, saying, "It hurts so much." Ling Xiao finally realized that he was tightly holding onto her arm. So he immediately apologized, "Sorry, the situation was urgent just now. I want to thank you, otherwise I would have just died." Yang Linlin raised her head and looked at the boy in front of her with tears on her face, saying, "Why are we here?" Ling Xiao said, "Don't ask why. We don't have time anymore. As long as you follow me, you can survive." Upon hearing this, Yang Linlin didn't have time to think it over. In the face of danger, girls will to some extent choose to rely on people who are stronger than themselves. The two continued to crawl slowly along the trench, one in front and one behind. Gradually, night fell. The dark environment added an unknown layer of fear to the two of them. Even enemy planes above their heads often use lighting to probe the ground. This made Ling Xiao even more careful, afraid of being discovered. Despite walking for so long, they didn't see a single enemy. But it is still not ruled out that once discovered, it may become protruding. Yang Linlin followed Ling Xiao with tears in her eyes and fear. She doesn't know what happened. But her subconscious tells her that she must leave here quickly. But the next second, Yang Linlin missed her step and stumbled down. Ah! Ling Xiao turned around and found that she had fallen to the ground. So he immediately walked over and asked, "What's wrong?" "No, it's okay." Yang Linlin suppressed the pain and wanted to stand up. But the waves of pain in her ankle made it difficult for her to stand straight. Ling Xiao glanced around and found a hole in the nearby trench. He immediately walked over to take a look. The opening is not large, but it can extend continuously. It seems to be an air raid shelter used on the battlefield. So he said, "So, I'll help you go over and rest. There was a hole back then, and now it's also evening. I don't think there will be any shells anymore. No, I can go. Young Linlin was afraid of dragging her feet, so she immediately claimed that she was fine. But Ling Xiao said helplessly, your feet are like this, how can you walk? Young Linlin still insists on continuing to walk. She dare not stay in such a place for too long and wants to leave quickly. So, Ling Xiao helped young Linlin find a way to escape. Walking from day till night, the two of them were exhausted. In addition, young Linlin's foot injury is becoming more and more serious, and she can only support the ground with one foot. Until the second half of the night, they couldn't resist the fatigue brought by their bodies. The two found a slightly hidden corner and slept for a while. This sleep, the dream simulation ends directly. Ling Xiao doesn't even know how he died. But he knew that young Linlin had to be settled down before he could complete the task himself. Now there is only one last chance left for the dream simulation in war games. If this mission still fails, war games will enter a cooling-off period. The chance to extend one's own health is also lost. If you don't succeed, you'll be benevolent. The fifth dream simulation has begun. Like the previous 4 times, Ling Xiao escaped from the danger zone with young Linlin based on his previous experience. But before she fell, Ling Xiao didn't give her a hand. Young Linlin indeed sprained. He pointed to the nearby cave entrance and said seriously, you can't leave now. Let's go to that cave entrance to rest for a while, otherwise your feet will become more and more swollen, and it will be even worse then. Okay. Faced with Ling Xiao, young Linlin felt inexplicably intimidated. I want to propose the idea of continuing, but I dare not speak up. But she didn't know that these experiences were all exchanged by Ling Xiao after he died several times. Young Linlin had no choice but to grab his arm and walk to the entrance of the cave. But when she saw the dark cave entrance, she became afraid for a moment and said, well, there shouldn't be any danger inside, right? This is the place that soldiers usually use to resist shell attacks. Besides, even if it's dangerous, there's still a risk of being bombarded by shells outside. Ling Xiao asked in response. This question left young Linlin speechless. She only listened carefully to Ling Xiao's words and walked in. Ling Xiao took out his phone and turned on the flashlight. After taking young Linlin into the cave and settling down, she looked around cautiously. From entering the game until now, he suddenly noticed that enemy planes would bomb once every hour. If that's the case, then he can use the cooling-off period of the bombing to find a way out. As for young Linlin, Ling Xiao felt that when he found the escape route, he would come back to pick her up. After all, she is already injured now, and if you take her with you, the speed of movement will be greatly reduced. And now the air raid shelter is very safe, and the bombardment of shells cannot harm her. If she followed her, she would only suffer unjustified fright. Instead of doing so, it's better to let her stay in the cave and find her own escape route. So he told her this idea and said, Linlin, let me tell you about the plan. Ling Xiao explained, we don't know where we are now. I'll go out and find a way to escape first. After I find the way out, I'll come back to pick you up. Upon hearing this, young Linlin immediately looked at him in panic and cried, no, can you please don't leave me? I can leave now. No, listen to me. This air raid shelter is quite safe now. Bombing cannot reach here, so you can rest assured here. After I find the route, I will come back to pick you up. But young Linlin didn't listen to anything and kept crying, no, don't leave me, I beg you, I'm afraid. Seeking the Easter egg badge has a cousin follow up on this book, and then I will put it on the shelf and select a few good boys from my book friends to recommend to my cousin. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Task completed. Get rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Task completed. Get rewards. So, I'll give you my phone. You can keep the flashlight on and I'll be back before dawn. Ling Xiao handed the phone to young Linlin. But Yang Linlin said nothing. She tightly grasped Ling Xiao's arm. Ling Xiao had no choice but to say, "Okay, then I won't leave. Let's rest for the night, and we'll run away early tomorrow morning." "Okay, okay," naive Yang Linlin immediately nodded and choked up, saying, "I will run away tomorrow morning. I can run, I'm fine, I'm fine." Ling Xiao comforted and said, "Then you can sleep for a while. I'll guard the entrance of the cave." Upon hearing this, Yang Linlin tentatively asked, "Can you leave?" "I don't know." "Really, Okay, don't lie to me." Perhaps due to excessive fright, Yang Linlin fell asleep with tears on her face. She leaned against the wall, her legs curled up, and occasionally her whole body trembled. Ling Xiao looked at her and felt a bit uneasy in his heart. Although she is just an NPC in the dream, she is still flesh and blood with thoughts, and it is too difficult for her to suffer the same experience as herself. And most importantly, she didn't know it was just a game. "Forget it, let's wait until tomorrow morning before leaving." Time passed little by little, and Ling Xiao observed by the entrance of the cave. Suddenly, he saw a map on the wall of the cave entrance. Using a flashlight, Ling Xiao clearly saw that this was a reconnaissance map. In a corner of the reconnaissance map, there is an air raid shelter marked by a pentagram. This should be where we are now. Ling Xiao looked at the reconnaissance map and found that there was still 20 kilometers away from the nearest border. That is to say, there are still 20 kilometers left and you can complete the task on your own. For a moment, he was also happy. Let's take this picture together as a guide for the game. Ling Xiao couldn't wait to come to Yang Linlin's side. He wants to tell her the good news and take her away immediately. But Ling Xiao hesitated a bit when he saw that she was already asleep. If there are any problems with the escape route after bringing Yang Linlin, it will only consume energy and do useless work. Ling Xiao planned to check on his own first. As long as he confirmed that the escape route was fine, he would come back with Yang Linlin. So Ling Xiao used his phone to edit a paragraph, then placed it next to her and left the air raid shelter with the map. About half an hour later, Yang Linlin woke up. The first thing she did when she woke up was to look towards the entrance of the cave and ask, "Senior, are you still there?" Yang Linlin, who had not heard a response, suddenly became anxious. Then she touched her phone. "Open it and take a look. I have found the map. I'll go check the escape route first. If there's no problem, I'll come back immediately to pick you up. Don't worry, when you count to 30,000, I'll be back." Yang Linlin looked at the memo on her phone and immediately burst into tears. "Woo-woo, you scammer," but the next second, she still choked up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ling Xiao has been walking outside for about half an hour. He looked at the map and wiped the sweat off his neck. Following the route on the map, he felt increasingly strange. Although the map shows that you can go left, but on the left is a sandbag wall, do you have to climb over it yourself? At this moment, Ling Xiao clearly has doubts about this map. Plus, almost an hour has passed since the last bombing, and soon the enemy planes will launch a new round of attacks. Ling Xiao had to hide in the trench and wait. Sure enough, the sound of a plane came from above. Next up. Bang! 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 3 shells fell near Ling Xiao. His ears were buzzing. Quickly, the enemy plane left. Ling Xiao continued to stand up, wanting to go back the same way. But he found that the previous shell bombing had blocked the original trench route with soil. He had no choice but to take a detour and planned to go back to the air raid shelter to find Yang Linlin. As time passed, Ling Xiao realized that he didn't even know where the air raid shelter was located. There are traces of being bombed everywhere. Smoke filled the air and there was no sense of direction. And the sky gradually brightened up. This indicates that the day is approaching. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao is in a dilemma. Should we continue to search for Yang Linlin or complete the task? This is already the 5th simulation opportunity. If he misses it, he doesn't know how long the cooldown period of this game will be. I'm sorry, I have to complete this task. In the end, Ling Xiao still looked at the map and walked towards the border. Soon he saw barbed wire blocking each other. With excitement and joy, Ling Xiao immediately bent down and crawled outside bit by bit. While crawling, he still thought of young Linlin in the air raid shelter. Forget it, the next time you enter the dream, I'll protect you. This time, I'll clear the level and complete the task first. Ling Xiao ultimately succeeded in crossing a 300-meter barbed wire fence. The moment he stood up, a warning sound in the mind comes on. Congratulations to the player for completing the mission, about to exit the game. Ling Xiao looked back at the direction of the battlefield when he saw the situation. At this moment, young Linlin still counted. 299452994629947. Ling Xiao opened his eyes and looked at the familiar ceiling. He knew that he had returned to reality. Sitting up, shaking his head, looking around. A familiar bedroom, a familiar room. Nothing has changed. Ling Xiao hasn't even adapted to it for a while. Although I only lived in this dream for one day. But this sense of reality will never be forgotten in his lifetime. He looked at his hands, clean and tidy. Remembering myself in my dream, my body was covered in dust. This dream simulation is really impressive. At this moment, the voice in my mind once again reminded me. Congratulations to the player for successfully surviving in the dream for a day, escaping from the enemy's reconnaissance range, and not being detected by the enemy. Rewards will be issued through task assessment. The reward fund of 100,000 yuan has been automatically credited, all procedures are compliant, and will not cause inflation in the real world. Reward the talent of Eagle Sharpite. Due to the outstanding performance of the player in this dream simulation, the player's lifespan has been extended by 100 days, and the current lifespan is 442 days. The next dream simulation scene will start in 7 days, please stay tuned. Seeing this, Ling Xiao breathed a sigh of relief. Extended the lifespan by 3 months. This dream simulation challenge is also worth it. Ling Xiao clicked on his phone and found that there was indeed a sum of funds in his bank account. Construction Bank. Your savings card with ending number 3484 has successfully transferred 100,000 yuan, with a balance of 124,361 yuan. Ling Xiao also feels that this financial reward is practical. But he didn't understand what the talent of Eagle Sharpite meant. After tapping into his talent, he finally understood. Originally, I was in a dream last night, constantly observing the surroundings, and my observation ability and sensitivity have greatly improved. Ling Xiao finally realized that the ability to simulate dreams could be fed back into real life. And he found that he seemed to see the scenery outside the window more clearly. He picked up his glasses by the bedside and put them on, feeling dizzy instead. That is to say, Ling Xiao has now recovered his vision to 5.2. Ling Xiao suddenly became excited. But in addition to being happy, he thought of Yang Linlin in his dream. But Ling Xiao also knows that Yang Linlin in the dream is just an NPC and has no connection with the characters in reality. Ding Lingling. At this moment, the alarm clock rang. Ling Xiao immediately got up. Yes, he is going to work. Since there is a way to extend one's lifespan now, we need to find ways to earn more money. Only in this way, even if this dream simulation disappears, I still have enough money to treat myself. Because poor people cannot get sick. Just as Ling Xiao woke up, Yang Linlin on the other side was crying and shouting Ling Xiao's name with her eyes closed. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Yang Linlin. Is this just a dream? Seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Yang Linlin. Is this just a dream? Seeking collection, in the school dormitory. Yang Linlin lay in bed, closing her eyes and counting non-stop. Tears streamed down my cheeks. The roommates around were all anxious when they saw this situation. They all patted young Linlin's hands and called out, "Linlin, wake up, Linlin." In an instant, young Linlin opened her eyes. When she looked around in a daze and then looked at her caring roommate standing next to her, she was lost. One of the roommates anxiously asked, "Linlin, what's wrong with you? Did you have a nightmare?" "Nightmare." Young Linlin got up and looked at her pillow. The pillow was covered in tears. My own eyes were crying red. Is this a dream? Is this dream so real? Suddenly, all the scenes in the dream were remembered by young Linlin. Battlefield. Cannon shells. Also Ling Xiao. Chen Ting Sr. A liar who doesn't keep his word. I promised that after counting 30,000, I would come back to find myself. But she kept counting until 50,000 and didn't come back. She was alone in the entrance of the air raid shelter, crying and listening to the sound of bombing around her. Helplessness surrounds oneself. Just as she made up her mind to walk out of the cave, she was shaken awake by her real-life roommates. So, all of this is a dream. At this moment, Chen Ting from the neighboring dormitory also rushed over immediately. She looked at young Linlin with tears on her face and quickly asked, "Linlin, what's wrong? Do you want to take you to the hospital?" But young Linlin shook her head and explained, I'm fine, I just had a dream. You scared me to death. I just heard from Sister Shan that you've been crying and can't wake up. You scared me so much that I only shaved half of my leg hair before coming over." After hearing this, young Linlin was moved and amused. She immediately asked her roommate, Xiaojia, "Whose class is this morning?" "What's wrong with Teacher Zhou's class?" replied the roommate. At this moment, young Linlin got out of bed and immediately said, "I won't go to class this morning. I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable. Xiaojia, can I take a leave of absence?" My roommates and Chen Ting were all shocked upon hearing this. Young Linlin, the study committee member who has never missed a class in her 3 years of university, even if she is burning, she has to go to the classroom to take notes and listen to classes. Surprisingly, I didn't go to class today. Chen Ting believes that if something goes wrong, there must be demons. On the other hand, Ling Xiao has already arrived at the company. Fatty Lin Dong was also surprised when he saw Ling Xiao coming to work. He quickly asked, "Xiao Gu, aren't you taking another day off?" Ling Xiao shook his head and said, "I won't invite you anymore." Lin Dong looked around and leaned over to Ling Xiao, saying, "You need to be careful when we have a meeting later. Yesterday, manager he criticized many employees in the department for taking leave, so be careful." Ling Xiao nodded and thanked Lin Dong for his kindness. "Thank you." The two brothers said these things, but I have long been unhappy with Yi Chunlai. Shit, it's not because I'm a relative of the boss that I'm barking. Lin Dong disdainfully roast. At this moment, Yi Chunlai walked through the corridor behind him. Lin Dong immediately sat upright, afraid of being caught in his braids. While working at Ling Xiao, Su Xian from the opposite desk leaned her head and asked, "Xiao Gu, aren't you sick and taking a 2-day leave?" "I took a day off and felt better, so I came back," Ling Xiao explained. Upon hearing this, Su Xian quickly became concerned and said, "Is it okay? Is it a cold? Why don't we go exercise this afternoon and sweat?" "Ah. No need, I'll be fine after I rest," Ling Xiaoka said. After listening, Su Xian had no choice but to pout, clearly feeling a bit unwilling. In a game company, most of the boys are programmers, wearing thick glasses, shirts of similar styles, and having an image of similar hair volume. And Ling Xiao is one of the top handsome guys in this department. Which girl doesn't want to get close to him? But Ling Xiao has always acted very gentlemanly. It can be said that gentlemen go too far and never give a single chance. Quickly, a message was sent out in the company group. In 5 minutes, the meeting will be held in the large conference room. Everyone must be present, and those who are absent or late without reason will be fined 50. Xiao Chen should register properly. As soon as this news came out, everyone immediately packed up and rushed to the conference room in a hurry. This is a dog's day. Every day I try to deduct money, and I'm really satisfied. Lin Dong sped up his pace while holding his notebook roast. Ling Xiao said at this moment, if there's a chance, we won't have to be exploited by others when we become bosses in the future. I'm afraid I don't have this life anymore. I guess I'll be a laborer for the rest of my life, Lin Dong sighed. Ling Xiao didn't say anything after hearing this sentence, just an additional thought in his heart. In no time, all the employees of the company came to the conference room. In the next hour, the heads of each department took turns speaking. Finally, Secretary Dong said, "Next, let our manager Su talk about the upcoming report." Manager Su stood up and took the microphone, saying, "Next week's tasks have been clearly explained by the heads of each department. I won't say too much. Then we will have a team building in the afternoon, and everyone will go to the Hongjian Sports Center to gather. We will have a basketball-friendly match with another subsidiary of the group." He looked at Secretary Dong and said, "Xiao Dong, when the time comes, bring all the basketball players in our company, and the colleagues who don't know how to play basketball will be cheerleaders off the field." This statement also made everyone a little happy. After all, there is another afternoon off work. After the meeting, Secretary Dong said to his colleagues who often play basketball in the group, "Let's go over early and warm up later. Although it's a friendly match, we must also bring glory to the company and not lose." Huaich. Understood. Chen Hai. Don't worry. I will definitely work hard. Lin Dong. I'll guard the rebounds. Lin Dong immediately asked Ling Xiao, "Brother Xiao, will you fight later?" "If you do, I'll talk to Secretary Dong. Since graduation, I haven't played much. You guys should play. I'll be cheerleading for you off the field," Ling Xiao explained. "Okay, then you can see me going through a lot of trouble on the inside." Soon, as everyone gathered, colleagues in groups of 3 or 2 came to the gymnasium. "Dandan, hurry up and see if there are any handsome guys from the opposite company." "Sister, the opposite company is also a programmer. Have you ever seen a handsome guy in a game design company?" "We can't say that, isn't our Xiao Gu quite handsome?" "Xiao Gu is." Su Xian deliberately spoke louder and then asked Ling Xiao beside him, "Xiao Gu, won't you play later?" "I don't really know how to play, Lin Dong and his team are more powerful," Ling Xiao explained with a smile. "Xiao Gu, you are too humble. Actually, it's okay if you don't know how to fight. As long as you stand on the field, that's also the most handsome guy." Su Xian praised. "Alright, sister, don't praise our brave brother anymore. You even wish you could eat that mouthful of water." "What? Dandan, you really are." Su Xian pretends to be roast while looking at Ling Xiao with her spare light to see if he responds to what he just said. However, Ling Xiao remains silent, contemplating his own affairs. Ling Xiao has little interest in basketball games. His mind is now filled with dreams. 1 week later, the next dream simulation scene will begin. At that time, you can use this dream mission to obtain an extended lifespan. As for women, Ha, Song and Republic of China emojis. JPG, it will only affect his speed in completing tasks. Requesting collection and tickets today, I am attaching another photo of my cousin, end of this chapter. Chapter 6. Reward feedback for dreams in reality, seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Reward feedback for dreams in reality, seeking collection. Beep. The opening whistle sounded, and a friendly basketball game between companies officially began. Under the scenes, Secretary Dong led the So. Called cheerleaders to shout for help. And colleagues were also playing with their phones and reading repeatedly, while casually shouting, "Go! Go!" In fact, whoever loses or wins on the field doesn't care at all for the people off the field. They just feel that simply not having to work is a good thing. But the players on the field are actually active. They were desperately pounding the rebounds 1 by 2. It's just that the players from the opposite company are hitting the rebounds. In the blink of an eye, the score had already reached 18.6. Faced with the difference in scores, Secretary Dong had to look at his colleagues behind him and say, "Everyone needs to give some strength, shout for help, so that the players on the field can hear it, and the difference will narrow. Follow me and shout, 'Red Star Technology, come on! Red Star Technology, come on!'" But what came in exchange was still sporadic cheers. The difference in points is getting bigger and bigger, and the players on the field are also complaining. "Lin Dong, you need to grab good rebounds." "Sleeping trough, how can I grab Chen Hai's position when it's clearly there? How come this is none of my business? I'm on guard against another person." Perhaps out of anger, one of the players accidentally hit his lips on the arm of the opposing player while competing. "Oh my, it's bleeding. Hurry up, go and take a look off the field. Lao foam, water. Water." Ling Xiao lifted his head and saw that the lips of Brother Hui from the technical department were covered in blood, which seemed to be a bit serious. At this moment, Secretary Dong, who was the coach of the team, asked the players, "Huij can't make it, let's find someone else to replace him. There's nothing left, we're only 5 people, and we injured one more," Chen Hai said helplessly. At this moment, Secretary Dong looked at Ling Xiao and tentatively said, "Xiao Xiao, I remember you also played basketball, right?" "Ah. I'm just for entertainment and have never played a formal game," Ling Xiao explained awkwardly. It is obvious that he does not want to play. Lin Dong said, "Xiao Gu, it's okay. You can take over and follow the person closely." Upon hearing this, Su Xian immediately agreed, "Xiao Gu, come on." Faced with this situation, Ling Xiao had no choice but to put on Huij's jersey and walk onto the court helplessly. It's a strange thing for a person with cancer to play basketball on the field. After Ling Xiao came on the field, Lin Dong warned, "Xiao Gu, just guard against that point guard. He's not very strong and it's easy to guard against." "Okay," Ling Xiao nodded. The female colleagues off the field seem to have seen Ling Xiao come on stage, and their enthusiasm has also increased. The sound of cheering gradually increased. However, facing an 18.6 score, even with more cheers, it is impossible to catch up for a while. Just as the opponent was launching an attack, Ling Xiao observed the position where the opponent was going to pass and made an early steal. Then hand the ball to the teammate to form a counterattack. Quickly, Lin Dong scored a layup. He looked excitedly at Ling Xiao and said, "Xiao Gu, it's okay. This steal is beautiful." Ling Xiao was also somewhat surprised by his observational ability. But he quickly recalled the previous task rewards. It should be the credit of the eagle's sharp eye. In this way, starting from the second quarter, Ling Xiao's multiple steals and defenses also slowly caught up with the lagging points. "Okay. Xiao Gu is amazing. Another steal. Okay. This kid, you said you can't play basketball." Colleagues in the audience gradually became excited. Su Xian and the girls in the department kept shouting for help. Just as everyone was paying attention to the game on the field, several people appeared at the door. One of the elderly people wearing golden glasses watched the game and immediately chuckled, "It seems everyone is having a great time." "Yes, Mr. Chen, according to your instructions, the physical and mental health of employees must be given top priority. Therefore, we organized this basketball game this afternoon to increase cohesion within the company. Only when we treat the company as a family and our colleagues as family can our work motivation continue to improve." Manager Su from Red Star Technology immediately smiled. He looked respectfully at the elderly person in front of him, without any hesitation. Who would have thought that a group CEO would come to watch basketball matches between two subsidiary companies? And the CEO of this group, Chen Dihai, has been watching the matches on the field. From the beginning, when Red Star Technologies team members complained about being behind 18.6, he knew that they might lose this game. But until a young man came on as a substitute, his observation and analysis on the field were amazing, constantly helping the team gradually narrow the gap through defense and steals. For a moment, he also became interested. Immediately, Chen Dihai pointed to Ling Xiao on the field and said, "What's the name of that young man in size 8? Manager Su looked up and immediately explained, "This is Ling Xiao, an employee of our RD department who has just graduated less than a year ago." Chen Dihai nodded and said, "Not bad. He plays seriously, unlike other players who only focus on attacking and scoring. In fact, playing football is like running a company. Offensive means expanding the company, and defense is the internal operation of the company. It's not just about expanding offense, defense is important. Such a young man should be cultivated well." After speaking, he turned around and prepared to leave. After listening to Chen Dihai's words, Manager Su looked at Ling Xiao on the field, pondered for a few seconds, and then followed him out of the gymnasium. Not long after, a friendly match came to an end. Both players shook hands and left the field. "Xiao Gunyo. After a game, you even snatched more than 10 balls from them." "Yeah, Xiao, I haven't seen you play basketball before. I didn't expect you to be so good at it. Next time we play ball, I'll call you out. Don't miss out." Faced with everyone's praise, Ling Xiao had no choice but to say, "I just need to defend well and then hand over the attack to everyone." Secretary Dong saw that his company's players had ultimately won the friendly match and thought to himself that they could finally make a comeback. So he suggested using public funds to go to the restaurant for a meal. After dinner, some girls want to sing K. So some colleagues organized activities for the second half, while Ling Xiao left early and headed towards home. The street was bustling with cars and horses, and Ling Xiao was about to turn when a delivery guy rode an electric bike and rushed over. But fortunately, he dodged on his side directly, which prevented a small car accident. When Ling Xiao roused that the delivery boy didn't drive according to the traffic rules, he was lucky that he had the talent of eagle's sharp eyes. He thought this skill was really good. Not only does it increase one's observation and sensitivity, but it also makes one's blurry world clearer. Quickly, he passed by a fruit shop and stopped in his tracks. "Buy some fruits." The shop owner's wife immediately said, "This fruit is good, either grapes or grapes. You see, it's round and big, and a bite is very sweet." While Ling Xiao was picking fruits, two girls walked across the street. At this moment, Chen Ting was speaking in a barrage. Young Linlin beside her was somewhat absent-minded. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. The second dream scene simulation begins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. The second dream scene simulation begins. Since young Linlin decided to skip today's class, Chen Ting has been with her all day. But Chen Ting was still curious about what dream young Linlin had and how she had become so abnormal. So she asked, "Linlin, can you tell me what exactly you dreamt of?" "I didn't dream anything," young Linlin shook her head. "I just had a nightmare." Chen Ting saw that she refused to let go, so she had to give up and said, "Okay, then let's buy some fruit and go back to school." Young Linlin nodded and said, But as soon as she looked up, she heard the familiar and unfamiliar voice. "Boss, help me weigh it." Young Linlin looked at the boy standing at the entrance of the fruit shop and couldn't help but stare in surprise. Ling Xiao held a fruit bag and immediately turned around. Chen Ting also noticed Ling Xiao and immediately screamed, "Senior! What a coincidence! We're meeting again." Ling Xiao looked at Chen Ting and felt surprised. Then he glanced at young Linlin with his spare light. At this glance, he immediately recalled young Linlin from last night's dream. Ling Xiao's gaze also slightly shifted away, and he immediately greeted him, "Yes, it's so coincidental. You guys are also here to buy fruits." "Yes, senior, have you just finished work?" Chen Ting immediately asked. Ling Xiao explained, "In the afternoon, our company was building a team, so we went to play a basketball game." "Wow. Did you come on stage, senior?" "If I had known, we would have gone to cheer." Chen Ting felt a bit regretful. Ling Xiao said awkwardly, "I just play soy sauce, and I didn't score a few points at all. All my teammates are awesome." Chen Ting shook her head and said, "Senior, do you remember when our class had a competition? It was you who kept cheering and cheering us off the field." Ling Xiao looked at Chen Ting, who was talkative, and then at Yang Linlin beside him. As if his conversation with Chen Ting separated Yang Linlin. It clearly made her situation a bit awkward. I don't know if it was because he left Yang Linlin last night, but Ling Xiao finally took the initiative and said, "By the way, do you want something to drink? How about I treat you to milk tea, and then you should go back to school?" "All right." Chen Ting nodded. She looked at Yang Linlin and asked, "Linlin, do you want to drink milk tea? I've been wandering all day and my feet are tired." Yang Linlin didn't want to ruin Chen Ting's elegance either. She nodded and agreed. So Chen Ting immediately took out her phone and selected a nearby milk tea shop. "It seems like there's a newly opened milk tea shop in the Tianhong shopping mall. They said it's pretty good, let's go." Chen Ting grabbed Yang Linlin, holding her hand while chatting with Ling Xiao. After a 10-minute journey, Ling Xiao only chatted with Chen Ting and had almost no communication with Yang Linlin. After arriving at the milk tea shop, Chen Ting took the initiative to go to the counter to order. Ling Xiao and Yang Linlin were sitting on chairs, waiting. Ling Xiao looked at Yang Linlin in front of him and didn't know what to say when he thought of the scene from last night's dream. As for Yang Linlin, she remembered last night when Ling Xiao asked her to count a full 30,000, but in the end, she still left her dream behind. "I couldn't help but feel a little angry and aggrieved in my heart." The two of them sat quietly without speaking. In no time, Chen Ting walked over with 3 cups of milk tea. "Come on, senior, it's yours, Linlin's yours." As she spoke, she placed the other 2 cups in front of Ling Xiao and Yang Linlin. Ling Xiao and Yang Linlin said thank you in unison. Chen Ting immediately took a sip of milk tea and asked, "Have you added WeChat?" "Ah. No," Ling Xiao smiled and shook his head. "I've seen each other twice, why haven't we added them yet?" Chen Ting looked at Ling Xiao and said, "Senior, no wonder you're single. As a boy, you should take the initiative. Linlin is very introverted and shy." After speaking, Chen Ting picked up the phone on Yang Linlin's desk. Yang Linlin looked at it and became surprised and anxious. But as Chen Ting skillfully unlocked her phone password, Yang Linlin had no choice but to let her click on WeChat. Ling Xiao, out of courtesy, smiled and opened Sweep. So, the two of them added friends. Next, Chen Ting alone snatched the speaking buttons of the other two and remained dominant. Quickly, after drinking milk tea, Ling Xiao bid them farewell. Yang Linlin looked at Ling Xiao who was leaving and asked Chen Ting, "Ting, he used to be your class assistant. Does he often go to your class?" "Yeah, the senior is very good. He has been taking care of us since our freshman year, taking us to class meetings and events. Oh, by the way, he even took our entire class on a trip." Chen Ting recalled the past. At that time, many girls wanted to stay in a hotel by the sea, so the senior went to the hotel in advance to book a room for a class. However, when they arrived, the price of the apartment hotel rose. Later on, we didn't want to live there and thought it was too deceitful. However, in order to fulfill his promise, the senior paid for the price difference out of his own pocket. Even if we gave him the money for the difference later, he refused to accept it. Young Linlin's first impression of Ling Xiao changed a lot as she listened to what Qinting said. Dreams are all fake, even if they are real, they are also fake. Perhaps the senior student is really a person who keeps his promise. Damn it, how could I dream of such a result? Young Linlin, while feeling puzzled and regretful, convinced herself. Ling Xiao on the other side has already returned home. Boiled water and cooked a noodle by myself. During the process of cooking noodles, the screen of the phone suddenly lit up. Ling Xiao picked up his phone and took a look. Ringing bell send a message. Clicking on WeChat, Ling Xiao finally realized. This is Yang Linlin's WeChat name. I haven't had time to change the note name yet. I saw Yang Linlin saying, "Hello senior, this is Yang Linlin." Ling Xiao. Hello. To avoid this awkward opening scene, he also attached an emoji. After Yang Linlin saw it, she also replied with an emoji. Coincidentally, Ling Xiao had already cooked the noodles before meeting, so he replied, "I'll go have some noodles first." Yang Linlin. Okay. So, the first chat ended. Simple and polite. In the following days, Ling Xiao will work diligently and take medication on time. He has to wait until the next week to go to the hospital for a check-up. Although he obtained a 100-day health extension in the game mission, he doesn't know if it's really useful. So until the doctor confirms that his condition has improved, he will take his medication on time. As for Yang Linlin, after that night's realistic dream, she gradually regained her peaceful school life. Listen attentively and take notes, occasionally accompanying Qinting to go shopping. Young Linlin understood and estimated that Ling Xiao would not appear in her dreams again. But what she didn't know was that Ling Xiao's second dream simulation time was about to begin. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Apocalypse Crisis, Dream Scenes, for Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8, Apocalypse Crisis, Dream Scenes, for Collection. At 10:30 p.m., Ling Xiao lay in bed early. Today is the last day of the cooling-off period for dream simulation. He can start the second dream scene now. The dream simulation scene this time is Apocalypse Crisis. Prior to this, Ling Xiao also watched some novels and movies about the end of the world. How to survive, how to find resources, and so on. As the saying goes, there is no battle without preparation. In order to complete the task, he must prepare in advance. Slowly, Ling Xiao fell asleep. Not long after, he heard a voice. We are about to start a dream simulation of life, with the theme scene of Apocalypse Crisis. The simulation will last for 100 days, and we wish you a wonderful experience in your dreams. Task. Successfully survive in the dream for 100 days to extend the corresponding lifespan. In his sleep, Ling Xiao was even surprised. The duration is 100 days. That means you have to spend over 3 months in a dream while sleeping. Can I really survive such a long apocalyptic scene? Thinking of this, Ling Xiao suddenly opened his eyes. Is it dawn now? He sat up and looked around. Familiar ceiling, same room layout. Did you fail to enter the simulation? No. Ling Xiao knows that this should be a simulation of the apocalypse scene. So he put on his clothes, brushed his teeth and washed his face, and then walked out of the room. Step out of the door and come to the apartment downstairs. There was no one in the bustling apartment space of the past. With the experience of his first dream simulation, Ling Xiao has calmed down a lot. He walked out of the apartment and onto the road. After walking for about 5 minutes without seeing anyone, he was certain that he had truly entered the dream game. The theme of this dream is Apocalypse Crisis. What should you do when you are the only one left in the world? Ling Xiao is still very interested in this kind of dream simulation. After all, he is the only one now. Not right. There is another person. As early as last night, he added young Linlin to complete the scene simulation of Apocalypse Crisis together. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao speculated that young Linlin might be in the university dormitory. So he immediately rode a small electric bike towards his university direction. Along the way, the road was piled up with cars, quiet and terrifying. After finally arriving at the university city, Ling Xiao arrived at the downstairs of the girls' dormitory according to the geographical location and began shouting. "Is anyone there? Hello. If anyone is there, come out." Ling Xiao shouted all the way, first to make young Linlin hear him, and second to confirm if there were only the two of them. In the previous dream of war games, although they couldn't see anyone else, they still felt that enemies were everywhere. So if there were one or two more NPCs in this dream scene, it would be different. But he shouted for half an hour and his throat was hoarse near the girls' dormitory. There is still no movement. This campus seems to have been pressed the pause button. There was no sound, only the rustling sound of the breeze blowing through the leaves. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao made a decision. He walked straight towards the courtyard of the girls' dormitory. Looking at the empty female dormitory courtyard, Ling Xiao also had some emotions. He doesn't know which girls' dormitory young Linlin is in. So every time he went up a floor, he kept shouting, "Is anyone there? Hey!" After walking through 4 girls' dormitories, almost every floor was visited, but Ling Xiao still couldn't find young Linlin. Gulu Gulu. Ling Xiao's stomach was a bit hungry at this moment. You know, from this morning until now, he hasn't even had breakfast and has been searching for it. Let's go find something to eat first. Ling Xiao got off the dormitory building and went to the convenience store across from the dormitory. Due to the power outage, the ice cream in the refrigerator has already melted. He dismantled a Snickers stand and started eating it. It's summer now, and high-energy foods like chocolate, which are easy to melt, won't last much time. So Ling Xiao needs to finish these as soon as possible. After eating and drinking enough, he continued to search for the trace of young Linlin. Ling Xiao found a car key, turned on the electric car, and kept circling around the campus. But after wandering for a long time, I still haven't seen anyone. Isn't she at school? She lives outside. Ling Xiao even wondered if he would rent an apartment outside the school himself. Thinking of this, he drove a small electric car and left the school. Outside the school, the same result. The vehicle remained motionless on the road. The person in the car has long disappeared without a trace. The nearby street stall is still displaying sushi that will be sold this morning. Ling Xiao drove around the vicinity of the university city. Although at first he was still curious about everything around him. But as he looked at the empty road, the shops on both sides were quiet, and there was only one person in the vast city, his heart couldn't help but furrow. Human beings are social animals. If you don't speak or communicate for a day or two, it's okay. But if it continues, it will eventually go crazy. This also strengthened Ling Xiao's idea of quickly finding young Linlin. If young Linlin felt that she was the only one left in the world and committed suicide, wouldn't it be that she wanted to experience a 100-day dream journey alone? Thinking of this, Ling Xiao's speed couldn't help but increase. But at the end of the day, he gained nothing. After wandering around the entire university city, he still couldn't find the shadow of young Linlin. At present, Ling Xiao can't manage so much anymore. After all, I still have to experience this dream world for 3 months. It's impossible to lose all your plans just to find a companion. His plan is very simple. The first step is to store grain. Eating and drinking water are always the primary survival issues. Now the tap water definitely can't be boiled to drink, maybe these waters haven't been filtered clean. But the mineral water in this city is definitely enough for him to live for 6 months. After all, the shelf life of mineral water is also 1 or 2 years. Next is food. Meat like this must be frozen. Otherwise, it will all spoil in 1 or 2 days. So he first searched for a good large supermarket. In supermarkets, there are almost all the complete daily necessities. He moved all the mineral water that could be taken away from nearby shops into the supermarket and placed it in the same area. Then, he found the freezer in the supermarket, which had all the meat in stock. And I also found a diesel generator in the tool room. Ling Xiao, who studies science, naturally knows how to use diesel generators. After half an hour of tinkering, the freezer can be used normally. Then, he moved all the meat from the nearby supermarket into the freezer. The food supply for these 3 months has basically been completed. After completing these tasks, Ling Xiao settled down in the residential building on the 3rd floor of the supermarket. After finishing everything, I poured the water from the bucket into the bathtub and took a comfortable bath. Just while taking a shower, Ling Xiao was still thinking of another gaming companion. He recalled the dream of war games and her helpless face. Perhaps due to his previous guilty conscience, Ling Xiao wanted to protect young Linlin as much as possible in this dream simulation. I still have to wake up early tomorrow. I need to find her as soon as possible. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Meeting Yang Linlin, for collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Meeting Yang Linlin, for collection. The first day of apocalyptic survival ended like this. The next morning, Ling Xiao almost couldn't get up. The pain throughout his body made him feel like he was paralyzed. This dream is also so amazing, it can even simulate pain so realistically. Moving food all day yesterday made Ling Xiao feel sore all over. He cannot spend a day lying in bed. I am now living in a post-apocalyptic environment. Although the food moved in yesterday has been enough for him to eat for the first half of the year. But after a day's situation, Ling Xiao felt that storing more food was the only way to have a sense of security. Now is the end of the world, and no one can predict what will happen. In addition to hoarding food, Ling Xiao also went to major pharmacies. I took all the drugs I could use back to the supermarket. After finishing these tasks, Ling Xiao took out a few spoonfuls of xiaomi from the rice bag. Today he wants to drink some millet porridge. Put it in the automatic rice cooker, plug it in, just wait. Then he took out a piece of beef from the freezer and fried it in a pan. Sprinkle the ingredients, it's about time, then use a clip to flip to the other side. Although it looks average, it can still be considered the first steak in the apocalypse. After eating and drinking, Ling Xiao found the amplifier. He connected the amplifier to the sound system. In no time, the sound came from the speaker. Is there anyone? Is there anyone? If there is anyone, come here. Single sentence loop. The purpose is to attract Yang Linlin's attention. Although Ling Xiao doesn't know if Yang Linlin is still in this world. He looked at the calendar and silently crossed out the day. Including today, he has been living in this apocalypse for 2 days. No one spoke to him, no communication. Quietly makes people feel a bit helpless. Even here, not to mention a dog or a cat, even mosquitoes have disappeared out of thin air. It seems that in this world, apart from himself, there are no more living creatures that can move. He walked out of the supermarket and came to a motorcycle. Soon, in this quiet city, there was only the sound of motorcycles whining. On the second day of survival in the apocalypse, a large amount of medicine has been stored today, and at least a headache and fever should be cured. It's strange to say that since entering the dream, my stomach doesn't seem to ache faintly anymore. Perhaps my own illness won't bring it into the dream. I also went to the gas station and brought back several barrels of diesel, so that the generator wouldn't worry about running out of fuel. I don't know how Yang Linlin is doing now. Let's look for her tomorrow. This is the diary written by Ling Xiao tonight. Normal people naturally do not write diaries. He just feels that 100 days is a bit unbearable. So write something to relax yourself. Put down your pen and close your notebook. Ling Xiao came to the window, ready to close it. Watching the light rain outside, his mood also worsened. I don't know where young Linlin is now. If I had to endure these 100 days alone, it would have been a bit boring. Just as he was about to go to bed to rest, he suddenly heard the sound of a car alarm coming from outside. He immediately reacted. Cars will not sound an alarm for no reason. Someone must have touched or bumped into it. People. Ling Xiao immediately went downstairs. He was wearing a raincoat and ran out directly. The car that triggered the alarm is on the opposite road. And it's also smoking. Ling Xiao saw the situation and immediately ran over. Sure enough. There is a person sitting in the driver's seat of the smoking car. A living person. Ling Xiao looked at Yang Linlin in front of him and found that she had already passed out. So he immediately opened the car door and looked at her, saying, "How are you? Are you okay?" But Yang Linlin in the driver's seat just closed her eyes, leaned her head against the airbag, and didn't speak. Because it was raining, Ling Xiao had to quickly help Yang Linlin unfasten her seatbelt. Then take her out of the car. I originally wanted to check on her injuries. But unfortunately, the rain is getting heavier and heavier. Ling Xiao hugged a princess and took her into the supermarket. Yang Linlin has a good figure and definitely has enough foundation, but her weight is not too heavy. Placing Yang Linlin on the sofa, Ling Xiao took off his raincoat and came to her to inspect. He lifted Yang Linlin's arm and found some abrasions and bruises on her elbow, and there were no other injuries besides that. Fortunately, it shouldn't be a big deal. During the examination, Ling Xiao saw that Yang Linlin's face was covered in raindrops. The collar has been soaked by the rain. So he turned around and took a tissue, ready to wipe it for her. Watching her frown furrow and her lips dry, this state is quite pitiful. Ling Xiao knew that these 2 days seemed to be tough for her. Looking at the girl in front of me. Indeed, she is quite good looking. Exquisite facial features, fair and tender skin, a natural and elegant temperament. In the last dream, both of them were focused on running away. Ling Xiao has no time to look at his partner at all. In the next 100 days, having a beautiful woman to take care of her eyes is also quite good. This is Ling Xiao's inner thoughts. He put a tissue around Yang Linlin's neck to wipe away all the raindrops around her collarbone. But just then, Yang Linlin woke up. She opened her eyes in a daze. Pop. A slap hit Ling Xiao's face. Ling Xiao was confused. He covered his fiery face and looked at Yang Linlin, who was angry in front of him. He didn't get angry, knowing that this was a normal reaction, so he said, "Are you awake?" Yang Linlin only then noticed that there was a person in front of her. A living person. And he's still a man. She immediately shrunk her feet, hugged her chest with both hands, closed her eyes in fear, and said, What do you want?" Ling Xiao immediately explained, "I saw you had a car accident outside, so I rescued you and brought you back here." Yang Linlin then searched for the previous scene from her memory. 2 days ago, she woke up from sleep. I found that there was no one at home. Yes, not only at home, but also in the entire community, street, and even the entire town. She was extremely scared, thinking it was her own dream. Just like last time I dreamt of myself on the battlefield. So she immediately returned home, closed her eyes, and went back to sleep. I slept for a whole day. Even if I couldn't sleep, I had to force myself. But the next morning, when she saw the same scene, she panicked. This is not a dream. All of this feeling is so real. It can't be a dream. She clearly had a breakdown. What exactly is going on? After a day, Yang Linlin gradually accepted reality. With confusion and unease, she found a car on the street and drove it unfamiliar. But after driving only a few meters, I collided with the vehicle in front. So she bumped and walked forward all the way. She wants to go back to school, take a look, and find Chen Ting. But young Linlin knew that Chen Ting was probably not at school anymore. Even said to be no longer in this world. The dreams I had before were at least about seniors, but in the real world, I am now the only one, woo-woo. Young Linlin was shedding tears, crying while driving the car. But because it was raining and the road was slippery, she didn't see the vehicle in front and collided directly. This is what young Linlin has experienced in the past 2 days. At this moment, as she reacted, she opened her eyes again and looked at the boy in front of her. At this glance, her pupils dilated and she was completely stunned. Don't keep books, do some manual work every day. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. When there are only 2 people in the world, seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. When there are only 2 people in the world, seeking collection, Young Linlin looked at the boy in front of her, somewhat incredulous. Surprisingly, it's him. Senior Ling Xiao. Young Linlin blurted out. Ling Xiao nodded and replied, are you okay? Her leg straightened slightly, and then she apologized, I'm sorry, I just woke up and thought you were streaming. Young Linlin did not mention the word hooligan. After all, it's too hurtful. Ling Xiao nodded and said, it's okay, I know. After all, you're also the first time I've seen someone of the same kind in the past 2 or 3 days. Yes. Young Linlin immediately nervously said, do you know what's going on? Why did everyone disappear overnight? She looked at Ling Xiao with some sadness and said, except for us. Ling Xiao looked at young Linlin and knew her current mood. If you didn't know it was a game, perhaps you would have doubted life long ago. But young Linlin is different, she doesn't know it's a game. Ling Xiao sympathized with her feelings and explained, I don't know what's going on. When I wake up, the whole world changes. Young Linlin couldn't say a reason when she saw him, and her mood was also disappointed. Shouldn't this world be just the 2 of us? Anyway, we still have to live. Only by living can we have hope. Come on, let's eat. Speaking, Ling Xiao stood up and walked towards the kitchen. He has already prepared the food. Young Linlin looks at the fried eggs with bitter gourds, fried meat, and millet porridge on the table. For a moment, tears welled up. Ling Xiao saw the situation and asked, what's wrong? Are these things not to your taste? Young Linlin quickly shook her head. She wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes, then came to the table and sat down. Hurry up, eat quickly, you should be hungry too, Ling Xiao urged. Young Linlin picked up chopsticks, picked up a piece of meat, and put it to her mouth. This is the first time she has eaten meat in 2 days. During these 2 days, when she was hungry, she casually found something to eat. In a state of panic and fear, she dared not eat more at all. Sometimes a pack of cookies is just for lunch. So much so that these 2 days, her face has become slightly haggard. Ling Xiao looked at her and felt heartbroken. Fortunately, I thought to myself that this was just a dream. And young Linlin in front of her is just an NPC with thoughts and soul. Otherwise, if it were really young Linlin, Ling Xiao would probably feel guilty in his heart. If it were a game now, there wouldn't be much impact on the real human body. He picked up an egg and put it in young Linlin's bowl, saying, hurry up, eat it. After finishing, take a good shower and rest. Can you still take a shower? Young Linlin was shocked. Ling Xiao nodded and said, there is a supermarket downstairs, and there is a diesel generator inside that can generate electricity and burn hot water. However, the water is washed with mineral water. Don't worry, I have stored a lot of water, which is enough for us to drink for more than a year. By the way, do you want to stay? In this way, we can also take care of each other. Young Linlin didn't speak after listening. She looked at the boy in front of her. Indeed, as my best friend said. Handsome. But she never likes to be alone with boys. Nowadays, it seems that there are only 2 of them left in the world. If you go out on your own, don't mention the small stir-fried meat or bitter gourd fried eggs in front of you. I don't even know where to find dry food. Although he once abandoned himself in his dreams. But after all, it was a dream. Now in the real world, according to Chen Ting, Senior Ling Xiao is an extremely responsible person. So staying here may be the best choice currently. After much thought, young Linlin nodded and said, "Okay, can I ask a question?" Ling Xiao nodded and said, "You say. Are we living together?" Ah. Ling Xiao didn't quite understand what it meant. Young Linlin saw that Ling Xiao didn't react, so she immediately awkwardly said, "What I mean is we're sleeping in the same bed." Ling Xiao finally understood and explained, "There are 2 rooms here. I can help you tidy them up later so you can sleep, or are you afraid to sleep in one room alone?" Young Linlin immediately shook her head and said, "No, no, no." Her face immediately turned red. Why do you ask such a question for no reason? She originally just wanted to ask if there was only one room. Why did I suddenly ask this sentence? Young Linlin felt very embarrassed and could only lower her head, constantly picking at the food. Ling Xiao also found it interesting to see her shy appearance. "Come on, have some vegetables." "Okay, and meat, you haven't eaten much lately. Eat more to have strength." "Okay, thank you, Senior. Call me Ling Xiao or Xiao Gu, the name, Senior, is too formal." "Okay, thank you, Brother Ling Xiao." So, young Linlin blushed and lowered her head to eat. Ling Xiao was picking vegetables while watching her eat with a smile. After eating and drinking, he entered the kitchen with a bowl and chopsticks. Young Linlin immediately stood up, wanting to help tidy up. But Ling Xiao said, "No need, you go rest and I'll come." After hearing this, young Linlin came to the sofa and sat with her legs curled up, her hands clasped around her knees. His expression was a bit tired. Her emotions have been tense for the past 2 days. Even sleeping for only 3 or 4 hours a day. She dare not sleep. Without a sense of security, she has no idea what kind of danger she will face. She always thought it was a dream. But every time I open my eyes, it always looks real. Just as she was feeling disheartened, Ling Xiao suddenly appeared. Although reality has not changed. But now at least there are people around me. I am no longer alone. Thinking of this, young Linlin's eyes turned red again. At this point, Ling Xiao had already finished washing dishes and walked out. He looked at young Linlin sitting alone on the sofa and said, "Let me take you to see your room." Okay, upon hearing this, young Linlin immediately looked up. She stood up and followed Ling Xiao. "My room is over there, this is your room, but I didn't tidy up this room at first." Before Ling Xiao could say anything, young Linlin said, it's okay, I'll take care of it." She looked at the inner room, although it was a bit sparsely decorated, at least there was a clean and comfortable bed. Ling Xiao pointed to the nearby bathroom and said, "Then take a shower first and then take a nap." Speaking, Ling Xiao took out a clean bathrobe and towel and handed them to young Linlin. Young Linlin took the bathrobe and lowered her head to thank you. Then, she walked into the bathroom. After the bathroom door closed, young Linlin looked at the doorknob and hesitated for a second. "Then I still locked the door. In this world, there are only 2 people left. Young Linlin knows what the outcome will be. Whenever a boy outside the bathroom wants to force something, as a girl, she has no way to resist. But no matter what, even in the last moment, she must preserve her dignity." End of this chapter.